Welcome to One Bite is Everything, the podcast that connects every bite you take to the bigger world, sparking curiosity and inspiring you to ask more questions about the food on your plate. I'm your host, Dana DiPrima. Once a month for the remainder of the year, I am dedicating one episode to the Local Food Challenge. And whether or not you've joined that challenge, there's something in this episode for you. This is the second episode of the Local Food Challenge series. In the first one, we kicked things off by exploring the why behind eating local. It's such an important part because while eating local has some fun to it, when you dig into the why, eating local becomes a lot more meaningful. Did you listen to it? Does the why make sense to you? I will leave a link to the first episode in the show notes for you so you can go back. It's just 10 minutes in case you missed it. I love today's part of the challenge. It's something that I tried for the first time last year and was like, oh my goodness. So I want you to try it too. It's a great place to start getting your hands dirty, so to speak, and it's really fun if you do it with a friend. I know you're driving or out for a walk or doing the dishes right now, but sometime this month, you are going to do this, maybe even tonight for dinner. I think dinner is the best time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to test one meal to see how local our meals actually are. You're going to make dinner and count the miles from your home to each ingredient. Trust me, this exercise is an absolute game changer. I'm even going to share my own humbling experience with this. You see, I thought I was pretty local until I made a beef stew and racked up over 17,000 miles for just one meal. Yeah, you heard that right. Local beef, but spices, olive oil, and a couple of other ingredients that came from halfway across the country. Suddenly, my local stew didn't seem that local anymore. Let's walk through how you can do this at home. So, here's what you do. Pick a meal, any meal you want. I recommend something that you enjoy making with ingredients you regularly use. It could be a hearty stew like I made, a favorite pasta dish, or that amazing chicken soup that your grandma used to make. Once you've decided, it's time to audit the ingredients. Grab a pen and some paper, and your phone is going to come in handy for this too. First, make a list of every ingredient. I think getting them out and putting them on the counter is helpful, but don't take them out of their packaging quite yet. That's going to come in handy. Start with your proteins, then move on to veggies, grains, oils, spices, and any packaged products that you're using. Now, this is where the fun, or the shock, kicks in. You are going to calculate the miles each ingredient traveled to get to your kitchen. Sometimes this information is on the label. If it's not, you are going to have to do a little bit of digging. Check your favorite search engine. Look up the farm or the manufacturer if you can, and if all else fails, make an educated guess based on common sourcing locations. We're not aiming for perfection here. Let's get a ballpark. It is about building awareness. Once you've assigned distances to all of your ingredients, add up the total. This number may surprise you. When I did this exercise, I was so confident. I had local beef from a trusted farm just a few miles away, seasonal vegetables from a nearby farmer's market, and homemade stock. I thought I had this in the bag. But then came the olive oil from Spain, the salt from England, and don't get me started on my spices. The bay leaves came from Greece. By the time I finished calculating, my local stew had racked up exactly 17,904.06 miles, to be exact. And I just want to mention that this only accounts for the as the crow fly miles. It did not account for any back and forth between a distribution center and the store, etc. So it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Here's the rundown. My beef was from 32.6 miles away. The flour, 114 miles. Potatoes, 21.2 miles. Garlic, 320 feet for the win. Onion, 21.1 miles. The bone broth, 15.2 miles, calculating all of the ingredients. That's the local stuff. But here's where the big numbers came in. Spanish olive oil, 3,574 miles. Carrots, 2,795.5 miles. And I know I can easily do better here. Bay leaf from Greece, 4,890 miles. And of course, I looked up how I could grow this in my garden. And then salt, 3,454 miles. To be honest, I was floored with the total. I did really well on some key local ingredients, but the miles added up fast. Instead of feeling discouraged, I felt curious. Could I source some of these ingredients closer to home? I know I can do better on carrots, and maybe on that bay leaf we'll see this season in my garden. The possibilities became exciting, not limiting. And here's another note. The goal here is not to get your meal down to 10 miles. I like to try and source my main ingredients from around 100 miles. I like to call it a 100-mile meal. But I'm not beating myself up over olive oil or salt or avocados, which don't grow anywhere near me. And don't get me started on chocolate. I just want to be intentional in my shopping where I can be. I attach each of those ingredients and my own desire to source them more locally to the whys. Let's bring it back to that. Why do we do this exercise? Awareness is the first step toward change. When you see how many miles your food travels, you start to question which ingredients could be more local. And when you do, you're supporting your local farmers, reducing your carbon footprint, and making more thoughtful choices for your own health and for your community. But remember, no one is saying you have to be perfect. This is meant to be fun. We're just building awareness here. I like a good aha moment, don't you? We can talk about local this and local that and shop local, but it's not really real unless you try it. It's about really seeing the big picture, one meal at a time. Your mission this month is simple. Choose a meal, audit your ingredients, and count the miles. I would love it so much if you would share your results with me on Instagram at XOXOFarmGirl, or you could just send me an email at Dana, DANA, at forfarmersmovement.com. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you discover. And if you're feeling inspired to go even deeper month by month, sign up for the challenge at thelocalfoodchallenge.com. You'll get tips and resources and encouragement delivered straight to your inbox once a month. I'll be doing this right alongside you and sharing my own meal audit and all of the other parts of the challenge. Maybe we'll find a way to make our miles a little bit shorter and our food choices a little bit more impactful. Thanks for tuning in today to One Bite is Everything, the podcast that connects every bite you take to the bigger world. This was part 2 of the Local Food Challenge, and I can't wait to hear what you uncover in your kitchen. I am your host, Dana DiPrima, and I'm really glad that you're here. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss the next part of the challenge and everything in between. And if you love what you heard today, please leave a review. It helps others find the show. Until next time, happy eating, and remember, that one bite on your plate connects you to the bigger world every single day. See you next week.